and welcome to another inspiring session of Parenting Summit 2024. Today, we have the honor of hosting Captain Dr. Dinisha Bhardwaj Singh, the dynamic principal of Delhi Public School, Ghaziabad, Uttar Pradesh. With an illustrious career as an educator, leader, and mentor, Dr. Dinisha has been at the forefront of fostering academics, excellence, and holistic development among students. Our focus today is on developing good study habits, helping teens focus on managing time. Adolescence is a time when teens face mounting academic demands alongside personal and extracurricular interest. In this session, Dr. Dinisha will guide us on how to help teens cultivate effective study habits, manage their time wisely, and focus on their academic goals. Welcome, Dr. Dinisha.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shaju. Thank you for inviting me.
Right. Ma'am, before we start, if you can briefly introduce yourself, it will be great for our viewers.
Fine. Coming forward and introducing myself formally, I'm Captain Dr. Dinisha Bhardwaj Singh. Two prefixes talk to me and talk to everyone about my journey in my career. Captain being an army officer and
Oh,
doctor being an educationist. I'm a literary doctor.
very good.
One more prefix is not there because I have not cleared the bar council exam. Otherwise, it would
Oh,
have been
okay.
advocate also. And yes, the suffixes
Looking
are
forward to, ma'am. I hope
my
by next interaction, we will definitely have that too.
I have not appeared. My daughter has done it. Now I'll take advice from her and I'll also appear.
Okay. Nice.
So I'm an educationist. I had been lucky enough to uh, take this journey forward in India and abroad on both the lines, whether being an army officer in and out of the country and abroad, and similarly for the education forum. Best part about this entire journey is that parallelly it was laced by my that soul connect to social service, which kept strengthening me across and parallelly kept adding value to nurturing the education in all the fields, which generally remain untouched when we are only focusing on career perspective. So that is what I am, an officer from army, an educationist, and by heart a social worker.
Wow. Great, ma'am. That's wonderful. So, ma'am, let's start understanding, study habits and challenges. So, in your experience, what are the key components of good study habits and why are they so important during the teenage years?
Well, good study habits. I would do kind of bifurcation of words. One is study, which is most important in the life of a student. And I have one very simple lens to look at all these things, and that lens is going back to our ancient era and thinking of life of a student that time, the ancient era of Gurukul, and thinking of life of student that time. So study is most important ever since this knowledge dissemination journey has begun. Now, study is important, but how do you get enriched maximum is through your habits. Now, habits is not only that my timetable for studying and beyond that I can do anything. So that is how this good part gets associated with that good study habits. So when I
Right.
connect all this, I would like to say that as a student, if I portray, probably it will be easy for the students to understand. If I'm a
Mhm.
student, then I have to have study habits, means
Right.
I have to have punctuality. I have to define myself as a student and align my study habits with my goals and aims. So,
Right.
because I'm especially trying to connect with teenage, and that's the right age where we start understanding. Before that, probably we do what our parents do tell us or what our school does tell us. So now good study habits is when as a student you try to strike a balance between your routine beyond studying and your studies. That is how good study habits can be made. How you can strike a balance is what time you wake up, and as good as what you eat, what kind of literature you walk through of studying hours, what are your hobbies. Everything, if becomes streamlined by none other than you yourself. Because
Right.
if somebody else will tell you, then you will do forcibly. But if you decide what you need to do, you can do it to your best. And why, as a teenager, it is important? Because I was taking a lecture at International Forum, and it was about teenagers, adolescents. And there was one sentence when I was just surfing the net to create material. I found that an adolescent or a teenager is a human who has a body of an adult and mind of a child.
That's wonderful.
So, you know, and more to it, the device in your hand, this thing has everything. This thing has everything with you inside, where initially you might be taking permission from your parents to venture out. Now you don't
Right.
need, and everybody has this in his or her hands. So
Mhm.
now it is the self motivation and self discipline which is required, because the world is full of everything, positives and negatives. You got to pick up positives, because as a teenager, suppose I talk about in the age of 13 to 15,
Mhm.
you have, suppose if I say 15, till 21, 6, 7 years, or 8 years, or 9 years. These 6, 7 years, 8 years of your life will define what will be your age of 80, 90 years further.
Very true, man. Very true.
So this effort which you do now, what kind of life you want to have in future, will be defined by you. Please
Right.
mind and note, by you and none other than you now. Because you know what is good, what is bad. You know where things can go wrong. You know how does it work. Important thing is that number one, good study habits. In teenage, I'm just connecting back to question mathematically, is the teenager to decide. The wisdom can be given by parents, wisdom can be given by school, and the children also know, they know everything, but they think okay, it will, they will be able to manage this loophole, that they will be able to manage, to be told that you will not be able to manage. If the thing
Right.
go out from your hand, you will not be able to manage. And this is the time you can decide what you want, and this is the time you can create your good habits, good hobbies, good
Mhm.
lifestyle, good eating habits, activities where you can get more oxygen, so that your
Mhm.
brain and body remains healthy, your growth is also taken care of, and
Right.
then you can decide your happiness journey towards good study habits. Because if you have to hide something from somebody, then there is something wrong, and that is against your good study habit. Very, very simple mathematical formula. And
Right.
if this starts well in life, in this age, I think there'll be no looking back.
Right. So, ma'am, what are some common challenges teenagers face when it comes to focusing on their studies, and how can these be identified early?
Well, common challenges are the distractions.
Okay.
Common challenges are somewhere when the family background is not supporting to you.
Okay.
Common challenges are, I will touch upon one by one, but I'm just
Sure.
highlighting. Another common challenge is when you are not actually sure of yourself. You may be
Mhm.
good, you may be well off, you may be everything, but you are not very confident about yourself, and you come under pressure. These
Okay.
are the very common and very oftenly seen pressures which we see in schools, which we see in our friends group, their children facing. So I'll touch upon one by one. When a child is as is a teenager, and this age is of distractions. Now, what are the kind of distractions a teenager faces? One is the gender related distractions. The infatuation happens. And I think that kind of fogs the brain.
Okay.
We all were teenagers, we all have crossed infatuation. There is nothing wrong, but then
No, no,
taking
correct.
next step to infatuation is wrong. As
Hmm.
I said in my previous answer, that when you have to hide something from people,
Hmm.
then you know that you are doing worse to yourself, not to anybody else. So
Right.
similarly, if you are infatuated, if you are liking somebody, or if you feel somebody is liking you, there is
It's
always,
naturally.
yes, it is very natural. I will not talk very ideal thing that, oh no, this should not happen, because
Hmm.
let's talk what reality is, and
Very
then
true,
let's
ma'am.
find out a solution out of that. So there is nothing wrong, but then next step is wrong. Why
Hmm.
next step is wrong? Because number one, it fogs the brain. You don't think about anything else other than this. Second thing is, when it fogs the brain, then what you are supposed to do as a student, what is expected out of you as a student to focus, your focus will go haywire.
Hmm.
And third thing is, every next step has got repercussions. I'm sure
Right.
the listeners would understand this. And if the parents are listening to it, they would understand this. And the worst is that when these children find themselves alone, they take next step and next step, and then they find themselves alone to handle that, because they are scared of parents and they are scared of society. So,
Correct.
something which is beyond this official term counseling is
Hmm.
required. We parents need to be friends to them so that they can share with us, they can be open. This distraction
Right.
can be gender related distraction, this distraction can be, there are multiple things in market. The cool
Hmm.
factor, the cool
Right.
factor, you are cool, you're not cool, you're not able to do this. The dare factor,
Hmm.
the recognition factor, that
Hmm.
how I will be recognized or I will not be recognized if I'm not part of this group.
Right.
The
The
bad
peer
practices,
pressure.
peer pressure. The bad practices pull you. So this
Right.
peer pressure, I will. This is the third point which I would connect. But here,
Hmm.
as a first point, which I would like to say, these distractions are the distractions of society. What pulls you to look cool? What pulls you towards the gender connect? That maybe infatuation or something. And
Hmm.
then another problem. The distraction which comes from is because you as a teenager want to take off in this world. You feel, I mean, it's like, a as I said in the beginning, body of an adult and mind of a child. So the child wants to fly and that adult wants to experience the adulthood, the body. So then
Hmm.
outcome is that you keep stepping back from your goal and aim. And then
Hmm.
your steps can, because you're stepping back, you don't, this is a scientific explanation I'm trying to give. When you are stepping back, you can't see behind.
Right.
You can tumble,
Hmm.
you can harm yourself. There there is one requirement. If in case something happens in school, there should be, what I am doing here in my school, we have a
Hmm.
committee led by students. Name
Okay.
of the committee is Sarthi.
Hmm.
Because we have school counselor, children cannot come to the counselor every time and share they're fearful whether the thing reaches to parents, or the
Hmm.
school will take some alternate opinion. So there are children who are psychology students, led by them and some other group of children, and they are sarthis. They, every class there is one member, and
Okay.
every class you know what is happening in your class. So this
Hmm.
sarthi steps into your life and tries to be your friend and tries to help you, then raises
Okay.
the level to the main sarthis who are psychology students who can understand in a better way. And if there is a disastrous step likely to happen, it comes
Hmm.
to teacher and then it is made official. So
Okay. So first they try to identify within the group, which is very good. So Sarthi is like, by students, for students, with students. So they feel more comfortable, sharing with their own
with their
age group.
peers,
Yes,
with their
yes,
their
yes.
peers,
I
with
got it.
their own
And
level.
right. And I think, ma'am, you have, raised a very important thing because a lot of parents comes to us and discuss, they say, when we talk about distraction, they only see digital distraction as a distraction because that's a visible one. But what we have talked about are things which is going in a teenager's mind and what his mind is occupied of, which we never talk about. We are like he's always on mobile. But one need to understand it is not only mobile which is the distraction. There are other things also going on parallelly, right, ma'am?
Mobile becomes cause of this distraction also, or vice versa. You are
Correct.
connected to somebody, and then
But it's more of a visible. Well, mobile
absolutely.
distraction is visible. You can see. But what you talked about in terms of gender attraction, that is something which is not visible unless you sit, discuss, talk with them. You will not never be able to understand what's going on in that
and
teenager's mind.
and unless you are friend to your child, child will never open up.
Never
So
open up.
here we adults have to reach out to children, make them
Hmm.
comfortable, that don't
Hmm.
worry. First thing you should not do. Second thing, if
Hmm.
it happens, do talk to me, maybe we can work it
Correct.
together. So, and
Correct.
of course the distraction is a mobile, where mobile is you just watch reels, you watch, waste time, you are chatting, snapshot,
Hmm.
like these kind of things. So these
Correct.
distractions have to be taken care of. And
Hmm.
then there are distractions. Of course, I'll be very, very candid. Drugs are in market, liquor is there, and that's
Yes,
cool
ma'am.
factor. You don't do this, you're not cool. You're not part of this kind of group, you're not cool. So
Hmm.
all these things are distractions. Gone are the days when we used to say TV is a distraction. Mobile
Right.
is a distraction, but what are you doing in mobile? That nobody knows. Children generally don't play games these days.
Right, ma'am.
They go into other things which are not supposed to be seen. The
Right.
objectionable sites are there. So that number
Hmm.
one is distraction. Another thing is which troubles a child is somewhere the family concerns.
Hmm.
um, Many cases I have seen in Malaysia also, I'm seeing here also, where the families are not responsible towards their
Hmm.
children. By saying not responsible, I don't mean that they are not spending on the child or something. Their own relation of husband wife or relation of rest of the members of family give a huge impact on child's mind.
Very true, ma'am. Very true.
And if that is not happening, the child will be troubled.
Hmm.
I think the time is limited. Otherwise, sometimes I will narrate incidents where I have done counseling. I'm not a
Hmm.
counselor, but two students, and then outcome was tremendous. One child, somewhere in UAE, heard my this interaction, and
Hmm.
then his parents interacted with me. And this child, he heard, and then he was part of a drama which he narrated,
Hmm.
a play, and he was the one who became instrumental in stopping divorce process of his own parents.
Wow.
So
That awareness.
such things, such empowering is required. So
Hmm.
that is another part. And third, you were talking about the peer pressure,
Right.
which is with one intention of getting something marketed, the substances or something. So the group will come and say you are not part of it, you are not what you are supposed to be, you're not cool,
Hmm.
you're not in high echelon of society. And thus
Hmm.
the child gets pressurized that uh, I am not cool, or some of the children they feel scared. So these are very big distractions. And then there, through social media, there are groups which I have faced in my previous organization, where these
Hmm.
groups connect to you through your friend. I mean, suppose
Okay.
I am part of the group, I will reach out to you, I will connect with you, and then through you, I will go to your internet or your Insta or something. I will
Hmm.
connect with those groups, the girls and boys who are seen partying and all. I'll start appreciating them. I'll
Hmm.
make friends with them, and I'll pull them out for wrong things.
Right, ma'am. It is a dangerous
Practically,
situation. Yes,
practically
yes.
happening. So, and almost in my previous organization, I stopped a racket, children becoming part of a racket.
Hmm.
I had to spend a lot of time with children and parents, but these are the distractions with children, where they are brilliant, but then
Hmm.
they are not able to do their best. And one distraction, which actually is not distraction, the purpose is not distraction, but it happens. Sometimes parents' aspirations and children's aspiration don't meet.
Right.
You as my
Yes,
child
ma'am.
want to study humanities, and I want you to do engineering, or you want to study biology, I want you to do be an engineer, so I want you to study maths.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Correct.
forcibly join that field, you're not able to do good, and then
Mm.
your interest gets lost, and then you start finding something else for your happiness.
Right.
Whatever
Right.
I'm speaking out of practical experience. So
I'm
these
sure,
are
ma'am.
some distractions which need to be, one need to sit down,
Mm-hmm.
work out, and work
Mm-hmm.
out in an environment where you don't have to take action.
Right.
You just have to plan the strategy so that the
Mm-hmm.
outcomes are as desired.
Right. So that's great. Ma'am, so what are some of the steps that the parents can take at home to create a conducive environment that encourages disciplined study routine? If we just talk about, how parents can help teenagers.
I would go back to when I was creating Sarthi.
Mm-hmm.
I give a lot of liberty to children. I listen to them. I believe
Mm-hmm.
very strongly that the best communication skill is listening skill.
That is true, ma'am.
So when I was talking to those children of when I wanted such group to be created,
Mm-hmm.
so they came out with an idea that, ma'am, we can pick up one or two children from each class, because it is children want to be spoken to, and children want to be heard without being judgmental.
Very true.
They know they are doing something wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but yet they don't want to listen to. I mean, we are parents, I think, somewhere or the other. I don't know how old are your children, but the
14,
children
ma'am.
children do say, please don't give lecture to us.
That is true.
So children want to be heard without being counseled every time.
Mm-hmm.
So what steps parents need to do is, when your child is growing, there is an old saying, my dad used to say, when the father's shoe starts fitting to son, you become friends.
Correct. It's an old
So
saying, yes.
it's an old saying, and
Mm-hmm.
that is the first step.
Right.
First step is that we need to not only become friends, that we behave, we say that we are your friends, and we become as good as the autocratic parents.
Mm-hmm.
The confidence should be there amongst children to talk to you. The confidence should be there that you listen to them without being judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
You keep your home environment conducive for child's growth.
Okay.
In no family, there are no tussles.
Natural.
We do interact, we do like each other's ideas, we dislike. Make sure you don't do it in front of the child. And the child should be seeing you as a happy family. That's the first requirement.
That's very important, ma'am.
Socio emotional bonding of parents. The healthy relation of parents is the first key. I have seen the children, not only in India and not only Indians abroad, but children from various caste and creed, when this trouble is there, they have their lives different,
Right.
distracted and different, and they are brilliant, but
Mm-hmm.
they are, they come out as rogues in society sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that is the first requirement, that create
Right.
a conducive growing environment for your child. You have brought the
Mm-hmm.
child to this world. Now it is your responsibility to behave also in front of him. And as much
Right.
as possible with each other also, because even if not in front of him, the things will be visible to the child.
Right.
Second thing is, be non-judgmental every time.
Mm-hmm.
We need to change with time also. Most of the parents, they do tell their children, when I was in your age, I didn't have this.
Mm.
When I
Right.
was in your age, I we were doing this, or we were not having this facility as you are. Do tell them this. I'm not saying don't tell them, but tell them when they create an environment when they want to listen to you on this. Don't
Right.
tell them when the child is saying, get me a new dress for this evening party, and you say, when we were of your age, we were getting clothes once in Holi and once in Diwali.
Until
Because
the
they
standard.
would not, that time they won't listen to you.
Mm.
So that is second thing, being non-judgmental. And lectures are important, but give them lecture when they are tuned to receive your lectures.
Hmm.
And last thing, when give them that confidence to come back to you if they by chance, by mistake, do anything wrong.
Hmm.
Give them that confidence.
Right.
I was talking to a psychologist. Uh, it was in reference to one of the students in our school, and that
Okay.
psychologist, he's a good friend. So he was telling that parent that if you don't give shoulder to your child, somebody else would, and that would be
Okay.
dangerous. That would be dangerous.
Right.
So your
Right.
shoulder for your child to lean on should always be available unconditionally.
Very important point, ma'am.
The child should not feel that now disaster has happened, my parents are going to kill me, so I should hide. And that keeps adding to the worst situations.
Very true.
And of course, when we are spending on child, we are nurturing the child, never try to showcase on the child that we are doing this for you. That's your duty, that's our duty. You are not doing any favor, because today if you present it as a favor, tomorrow what you expect from the child will present it as favor, because the child will be proxy learning from you.
Right.
And then try to ask the child about his or her aspirations and support them instead of your desires being dumped on the child. There's
Hmm.
nothing wrong. We all aspire good for the child. There's nothing wrong. But just listen to the child and then grow with the child accordingly. Because all said and done, what we do happily is the thing which yield us to the best outcomes. So
Right.
this is conducive learning environment which parents need to create at home, so that
Mm.
the child ultimately grows flawlessly and unconditionally.
I think, ma'am, you've covered this, but I still want, to help our parents. If you can just list down one or two points, like, how can parents strike that balance between guiding their teens and giving them the autonomy to manage their time, studies independently? I mean, you have covered it, but if you can just give one or two bullet points
Okay.
to help them,
Uh, Guiding the teens and yet giving autonomy is, then there has to be a line drawn.
right?
I'll just quote an example after a while, but I'll just give the points first.
Sure.
Uh, this starts when the child grows, when you talk to the child, when you play with the child. Uh, when you are guiding the child, the child should know the values. The child should also know what if not,
Okay.
what is the harm. And third thing is, the child should also know what is your stand if not. Means, suppose you tell the child that doing this particular thing is not good for you, it
Mhm.
will disturb you, it will distract you, it will harm you.
Mhm.
Child should also know, if you do not, what you expect. Suppose you have x amount of worth of money existing with you, the child would like, or you would like the child to reach to x square, a different
You're
platform.
right. Mhm.
What is the path which is required? Now whatever I am saying, this is not supposed to come in words, this has to come in actions.
Action.
Sometimes
Yes.
sometimes you want, the child wants to go for a pizza out with you, or sometimes you want to just go for a ride, or howsoever. So try to communicate kind of invisibly into desire fulfilling system. Not always lecture that you should do, everybody knows everything. Only the thing
Right.
is, if I have to pour water into another glass, the other glass should be upside ready.
Right.
If I put
Mhm.
it downside and you pour, you waste water, you spoil this glass, you spoil the environment, the surroundings. So that goes with lectures, that goes with our ideologies going down to students. So conditioning of your child, number one point, conditioning of your child is important when you nurture values. This conditioning happens not only in teenage, this starts before teenage also, but nothing wrong if you have not done till now. There can always be a friendly relation. There are parents who talk to their girls about boyfriends. There are parents who talk to the children about liquor. There should be a line which is withdrawn to from the idealism to reality, and tell them what is wrong, what are do's and don'ts, and if at all you step, you can't do that, that you are doing certain thing and you are telling your child don't do it in life.
Correct.
First, you need to check yourself. Second is create a conditioning environment so that the child receives. And third thing is what child expects. You also be adaptive. Certain things that will not go with your ideology. You will
Hmm.
not like your child to do, but the child is
Hmm.
bent upon doing. So how will you do?
Hmm.
You
Right.
condition. You also be a learner as adult, because then that is the first opposition. One strong opposition from parent to child
Hmm.
can create a wall of China. Strong
Okay.
opposition. If there is a very strong opposition that, okay, for example, love marriage. No love marriage to happen in my family. So the
Hmm.
child will start thinking whether the child is having anything or not. But child will start thinking that, oh, he will, what if I have somebody? The child is
Right.
not having anything, but then ideologies start clashing. Listen to
Hmm.
them, be good to them, uh, try to be there with them when they want to venture out in the world. uh, Give the judicious flow of money, not
Right.
unjudicious. And one thing which is very important, as we fly kite, loosen it, tighten it. So this
Right.
relation is very important. In between, the child should know that there is a flow. In between, child he should know that where to draw a line. The child
Hmm.
should be made part of the household chores. The child
Hmm.
should be made part of big decisions. You got to give them
Right.
money. Okay, this is money in your account, and you got to manage. You got to balance.
Hmm.
So that liberty, power, and control, and always a shoulder to lean upon is
Very
very
important, ma'am.
very important for all of us. Um, there are many instances in life, in all our lives, where we can quote that the liberty as well as being friendly and yet being a parent has worked out well. Little element of fear also should be there.
Hmm.
Little bit is
Yes.
there, it is important. But then
Right.
that fear should not be that I cannot lean on this shoulder unconditionally. If the worst
Hmm.
happens, this is the best friend, that relation. But then I
Right.
should not lead to worst. This person will feel sad. The child should not fear about your repercussions of doing wrong. Child should
Hmm.
feel that I will make my parents sad if I do something wrong. Not that the
Okay.
parent will stop talking to me or parent will penalize me or punish me. I will
Hmm.
hurt my parent if I do this. That
Right.
much of strength of the bond is very important if we establish this. And I'm not speaking anything from books, ladies and gentlemen. I'm speaking from heart. I'm speaking
Yes.
from experience. Uh, Thousands of students. I'm in the field of education for last almost 12 years, and before
Hmm.
this, I'm part of the armed forces. And then, as I said, social work. So I have interacted with students and parents of all kind of localities in India and abroad, even talking about the tribes of East Khasi Hills to Malaysia and Singapore and India and Delhi and
Wow.
Maharashtra. So I'm talking on behalf of all these children and parents, because many parents, many children met me. Many of them spoke to me. Many of them, they took care of their families. As one example I was giving, this boy could avert divorce of his parents. I have
Hmm.
averted many such relations getting broken. We can always take care with the thin cord. The last cord, which is important, should be very strong.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, this is wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Dinisha, for sharing your valuable insights and practical advice on helping teens develop good study habits. Your expertise has provided us with a clearer understanding of how parents and school can work together to foster a disciplined and balanced approach to academics. To all parents listening, remember that building good study habits is not just about achieving academic success, but also about equipping your teens with lifelong skills in time management and self discipline. By fostering a supportive and structured environment, you can help them thrive both academically and personally. Thank you for joining us today. Stay tuned for more engaging and empowering discussions at the Parenting Summit 2024. Together, let's pave the way for the brighter future for our team. Thank you once again, Dr. Dinisha, for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so
Thank,
much. Dhanyavad.
thank you.
Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.